We'll have a reaction from local health officials after the CDC updated its masking guidance for vaccinated people. Plus, authorities arrest a Southwest Missouri kidnapping suspect in Guatemala. And why a Jasper County judge says this man is not guilty in a 2016 shooting investigation.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A local health department goes back to requiring masks. This is KOAM News at 10. The change comes a day after the CDC updated their guidance on masks, saying everyone should wear one indoors in areas with high rates of infection, like our area. The Barton County, Missouri Health Department is now requiring masks for patients and staff. The administrator, Joel Dermott, says they've seen breakthrough cases just like the CDC. Breakthrough cases are the rare instances when a vaccinated person can contract the virus and spread it. He agrees with the CDC's new guidance and hopes it doesn't push people away from vaccination.
Is this going to discourage somebody because they are going to have to continue wearing a mask? I don't know. We'll just see. We'll have to see how that plays out, and it will be very interesting in the upcoming days to see how this all kind of is absorbed by the general public.
Now, we spoke with other health departments for this story as well. You can read what they think of the new CDC guidance on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. Part of the new guidance also focuses on schools. The CDC director now urges everyone in and around a school to mask up as COVID-19 cases rise all across our country. Mandy Gaither has more.
As the start of a new school year gets closer, the concern over COVID-19 continues to climb.
That's the big key to this, is what can we do to the indoor air to limit the buildup of the virus inside that space?
The CDC now says everyone should wear masks in school, even if they're fully vaccinated, to prevent against the spread of the Delta variant and to protect against others.
Because we have such a high number of people who are unvaccinated, because the Delta variant is so transmissible, and because we are seeing that when it does get transmitted in those rare cases to someone who's vaccinated, they have the chance of spreading it. That's what's changed these recommendations.
Prior to the CDC's updated guidance, at least 8 states prohibited districts from requiring masks in schools, but the CDC says children should return to full-time in-person learning in the fall with proper prevention strategies in place.
Also, a big part of this is get windows open, get filtration systems in place. There is no excuses for school districts now not to have the resources they need in order to open these safely.
The CDC's director says most of the U.S.'s COVID-19 spread is being driven by people who are unvaccinated and urged people to get their shots, saying vaccines still protect against serious diseases, lowering the risk of hospitalization by 20-fold.
It's trying to stop these surges now so that we can get more people vaccinated and that we are hoping to stave off a repeat of last fall and winter.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The nation's 3 largest school districts, New York City, Los Angeles, and Chicago, already require masks in schools. Among the top 12 districts in the country, all are requiring masks except those in Florida and Texas, where the governors have banned mask mandates in schools prior to yesterday's updated CDC guidance. More than $1 trillion in federal coronavirus-related funds remains unspent. That's according to the Government Accountability Office. That figure includes money approved by the Department of Health and Human Services and $210 billion that the White House set aside for state and local governments. Joplin Health Department says 5 more people have died with COVID-19. The patients were 3 men, ages 77, 67, and 58. And 2 women, ages 77 and 32. The latest deaths brings the city's total to 143. Now, Jasper County outside of Joplin earlier today reported 3 additional COVID deaths, where the total now stands at 175.
Whether it's because they don't...
Only one day after it went into effect, a mask mandate in St. Louis County has been repealed. The mandate was discussed at last night's St. Louis Council meeting, the County Council meeting, and many members of the public spoke out, mostly against the mandate. Several members of the County Council have spoken out against the mandate, saying it violates a recently passed state law that requires input from a governing body such as a county council. But others highlighted the importance of the mandate for public health. Officials at Freeman Hospital say they're keeping an eye on a contagious fungus. It's called Candida aureus. It was first discovered in 2009, but recently had been reportedly passed from person to person. Cases have been reported in a number of states, including one in Missouri, according to the CDC. The CDC says the fungus is particularly dangerous because it's often multi-drug resistant. Checking in with Nick Kelly now. The heat continues, Nick.
It certainly did for today, that is for sure, Dal, and especially when you compare it to the numbers that we're usually supposed to see on a typical day around here. Low of 70, a high of 91. Our official numbers were well above both of those. 74 this morning and a high of 96 for a very hot afternoon. And not to mention, the humidity was high. At one point, we had dew points in the mid-70s in Joplin, making it feel like 110 earlier this afternoon. And these are numbers that'll stick around for tomorrow. That's why we have much of the area under excessive heat warnings until 9 o'clock tomorrow night. But even though we're trying to get a brief respite from the heat this evening, going into late night, it's still warm out there. Most of us in the lower 80s, feels like the upper 80s to lower 90s still at the top of the 10 o'clock hour. So even though we keep things quiet for Thursday, we drop back only into the mid 70s for tomorrow morning, but back into the mid 90s tomorrow with high heat indices. That's why an alert day is out for tomorrow because of the high heat and humidity. Even though it's going to try to stick around for a few more days, Dow, relief is on the way. Full forecast in a bit. See you then. The suspect in a southwest Missouri kidnapping is arrested in Guatemala. Mohammed, the Somali national, is charged with kidnapping the 4-year-old daughter of Jessica McCormick of Knoll. McCormick's body was found in a suitcase in July of 2019 between Lanigan and Knoll. After identifying McCormick's body, authorities couldn't find her 3 kids. An informant told them that Mohammed had taken the kids to Iowa, where he left them with a former co-worker. All 3 children were found safe. The father of the 4-year-old child told police that Mohammed did not have permission to take the kids. Mohammed was indicted on a kidnapping charge in August of 2019 and recently was arrested in Guatemala, expelled from that country, and returned to the U.S. No arrests have been made in McCormick's death. A Jasper County judge rules that a Joplin man who was charged with shooting 5 people in 2016 is not guilty by reason of insanity. Attorneys for 31-year-old Tom Morning Jr. have argued that he was schizophrenic. They say that due to his mental health, he was not aware of what he was doing in August of 2016 when police say he shot at 2 cars. 5 people in the cars were injured but survived. The assistant Jasper County attorney says all doctors who evaluated Morning believed he was mentally ill at the time of the shootings. Seneca, Missouri woman is dead after a crash on Highway 43, 4 miles north of Seneca. The Missouri Highway Patrol crash report says Crystal Ward was riding in a car that crossed into the path of a utility truck. Ward and the car's 2 other occupants were taken to the hospital. Ward died yesterday. Still ahead, the latest on the effort in D.C. to pass an infrastructure plan. And later, the Kansas City Chiefs in St. Joe for their first full team practice of the season. The U.S. Senate today voted to move forward on a $1 trillion physical infrastructure package after weeks of bipartisan negotiations. But both the president and lawmakers acknowledge it's just the first legislative step in the long process to get to a final bill. President Biden also visited Pennsylvania to push his plan to buy more American-made goods. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
The motion upon reconsideration is agreed to.
The Senate has passed a motion to begin debate on a bipartisan physical infrastructure bill just hours after negotiators announced a deal.
At a time when Washington seems broken, this group came together.
A previous procedural vote failed to move forward last week after Republicans say they needed more time. While lawmakers say the details of this latest deal are still being finalized, they believe they can get it passed.
I'm confident that we will be able to get it across the finish line.
President Biden said he also feels confident about the infrastructure legislation during a trip to eastern Pennsylvania.
While there's a lot we don't agree on, I believe that we should be able to work together on the few things we do agree on.
The president toured a Mack truck manufacturing facility while pushing his administration's new Buy American rule.
We're going to make the biggest enforcement changes to the Buy America Act in 70 years.
The proposed rule would require goods purchased by the federal government with taxpayer money to contain at least 60% of U.S.-made content, up from the current 55%. The administration wants that increased to 75% by 2029.
They got a new sheriff in town. We're going to be checking.
The proposed rule would not take effect until after a 60-day review period. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
The president's Buy American rule proposal is also intended to shore up critical supply chain issues for many goods, including semiconductors. In a statement, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce said it looks forward to giving input to the administration, but it believes purchasing quotas are, quote, ineffective and costly. The suspect in a California movie theater shooting is captured by police. Authorities say Joseph Jimenez shot and killed a woman and critically injured a man at a theater in the city of Corona, California, Monday night. Jimenez is charged with murder, attempted murder, and robbery. His bail set at $2 million. No word yet on a motive for the shooting. Johnson & Johnson faces a new lawsuit over products linked to cancer and allegedly marketed to black women. An advocacy group filed that suit yesterday. It accuses J&J of selectively marketing talcum-based products, including baby powder, to black women, despite knowing for years the items were linked to ovarian cancer. The pharma giant denies the allegation. The company sold talc-based powder for more than 100 years before issuing a recall of 33,000 bottles in 2019. J&J discontinued sale of the powder in the U.S. and Canada in 2020. However, it said it would allow existing inventory to be sold until it runs out. Later, Pittsburgh Post 64 opens up state tournament play. We're going to have the highlights in sports.
And even though we got to put up with the heat and humidity for the next few days, our patience will be rewarded, especially this weekend. Forecast up next. Ever since this weekend, we've been stuck in a weather theme that we are not big fans of. I think it's safe to say. It's been hot and humid once again, even though the time lapse from the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri showed at least a nice looking day. We're in a little cloud cover passing through at times, but we kept things quiet once again on this final Wednesday of the month of July. But it has been just hot and absurdly humid both yesterday and today once again. After we hit the mid-90s yesterday, we dropped back into the mid-70s this morning and then pushing back to 95 to 96 degrees at Joplin Regional alone this afternoon. So even though we haven't had much to track in terms of cloud cover, certainly nothing in terms of rain or thunderstorm chances, this is our main weather headline for the next 24 hours or so. But even when we get past the excessive heat warnings and heat advisories, which will expire by 9 o'clock tomorrow night, I really think we'll hold on to some of this heat and high humidity all the way through Saturday. Then we're going to see a much needed break from the heat come our way. You're going to love the numbers, certainly once we get past tomorrow. Right now, though, it's quiet up top, but warm at 82 in Joplin. Feels like 89 thanks to a dew point still sitting in the mid-70s at the 10 o'clock hour. It's the same across much of the entire region. Even with a couple of upper 70s around Pittsburgh and Parsons, most of us in the lower 80s. But you factor in these dew points, which are still crazy high, mid to upper 70s. I don't even pull up the scale to tell you that is sweltering humidity. That's still making it feel like the upper 80s to even some lower 90s at this point in our late Wednesday night. Again, though, for what it's worth, we're not dealing with anything here, so we're going to stay quiet tonight. Well, unfortunately, our neighbors to the north will have to deal with an overnight round of severe storms that are really starting to come together across central parts of Wisconsin. And believe it or not, those storms are firing up along our next front that will be on the way late this weekend. And again, the storms themselves don't have a chance of making it here. So again, we keep things quiet, but this front will be on the way in late Saturday going into Sunday. Of course, we'll have to wait for this upper level ridge to break down before that front can roll on in. So we're going to hold on to this ridge, like it or not. That's going to keep us very warm going into the overnight and just dropping back into the mid-70s to start your Thursday morning out. And even with, like today, some passing cloud cover, it's going to be hot just like today. And I think highs will be kind of like today all over again. 75 in the morning, 91 by noon. Highs near 96 despite a light west breeze of 5 to 10. Now that's just air temperature. You factor in the high dew points, which will still be in place for tomorrow. It could feel like it's between 103 and 111 during the 4 o'clock hour on our Thursday. A brief respite for Friday morning, and despite a drop in the humidity, it could still feel like 100 to 105 as we head into Friday. Fortunately, though, once we go past Saturday, it's going to be another hot and humid day, but here comes that front at the surface and upstairs at the jet stream level. Look at how the jet finally pushes the heat dome back to the west. Well, the northwesterly flow for the middle of next week, can't rule out maybe a thunderstorm or two Tuesday and Wednesday, but the big takeaway behind the cold front on the way, mid-80s returning for Sunday through early next week. Before we get there, Dow, alert days because of the heat and humidity that'll stick around through Saturday. Highs around 96 and warm nights still to deal with.
Yeah, some very hot days ahead, but relief in sight, and that is good to see that.
Yeah, it's going to feel good when it gets here.
Thanks, Nick. Performers with Pittsburgh Community Theater are doing their final run-through before their shows on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They're performing Xanadu. It's a story about a Greek muse who descends from Mount Olympus to Venice Beach, California on a quest to inspire a struggling artist to create the first roller disco.
Oh, we are so excited for a live audience to be in this space, seeing all of this stuff that people have been working for ages on. Some of it is the same that we have been working on for the 2020 production, and some of it is brand new.
First performance, 7:30 on Friday, with 2 more performances on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. Tickets will cost $15 per adult, $12 for seniors and kids. Coming up in sports, Pittsburgh American Legion baseball hits the field in the state tournament. We're going to have the highlights. Plus, the Kansas City Chiefs hold their first full team practice at training camp in St. Joe. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
Well, today is the first day of the season for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs hold their first full team practice today at training camp in St. Joe, Missouri. One of the big storylines of the offseason, of course, is the team's rebuilt offensive line. Now, among the changes, they traded for Orlando Brown, drafted Creed Humphrey at center out of Oklahoma, and signed left guard Joe Thuney from the Patriots. Now, Thuney talked today about adjusting to the new faces and also working in the Missouri heat after starting his career in the Northeast.
Didn't realize Missouri got this hot, but it's been great, and everyone's just grinding out there, and great group. We hang out a lot off the field in the locker room, always talking, laughing, joking. So they're a great group, a lot of great guys, and it's just being out here. It's just kind of an isolated bubble, and it's great to spend all the time with the guys, and just keep building every day.
Today is Football Media Day for the Kansas Jayhawk Conference in Wichita. And here's the look at the preseason coaches poll. No surprise, Hutchinson is at number 1. Independence, in their second season under head coach Jason Martin, picked to finish 3rd. Coffeyville sits at 5, while Fort Scott, heading into their first full season under coach Carson Hunter, is at number 8. Well, today is the opening day of the Kansas American Legion Senior Baseball Tournament in Pittsburgh. And the hometown Post 64 group is on the field in the final game of the night tonight, facing the Hayes Eagles. Now, there are 8 teams in this tournament. We're going to crown a state champion on Saturday. Now, leading off in the top of the first, Cameron Williamson through the right side. However, he would end the inning standing on 3rd. The bottom of the inning, Hayes gets 2 on, but Williamson works out of it with the ground ball out. Still scoreless after 1. After a leadoff double from Brett Sutterby in the second, Trevor Amershek to the right side for Pittsburgh. Not only does he beat it to first, but he gets the RBI with Sutterby scoring. Post 64 gets its first lead with that. Right now, they've opened up a 9-0 lead in the top of the 4th. The St. Louis Cardinals wrap up a quick 2-game set with Cleveland today. The Cardinals took game 1 last night 4-2 behind a Paul DeYoung go-ahead homer in the 7th. And after this one today, St. Louis returns home for a 9-game homestand beginning on Friday. The Cards up 1 in the 2nd till Franmil Reyes puts it out for the solo homer. Actually goes out of the stadium. It's a 1-1 game. The St. Louis goes back in front in the 3rd. Dylan Carlson, solo homer at a dead center, his 11th. Cards lead 2-1, but from there, Cleveland rolls. Cesar Hernandez with a man on, his 18th of the year. Cleveland back in front. Cardinals drop this one today, 7-2. The Kansas City Royals on the field for Game 3 against the White Sox tonight. Now, Chicago got Game 2 last night to snap the Royals' 6-game winning streak. Tonight, Salvador Perez hits a solo homer in the 9th to tie it. Michael Taylor's walk-off ends it in the 10th. Royals come back to beat Chicago 3-2. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
To honor a local veteran, Private First Class Carl Lundberg served in the U.S. Army. His hometown, Fort Scott, Kansas. And we are proud to salute Private First Class Carl Lundberg. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Patrick Mahomes, you've heard of him, broke a new record. This time, didn't really have to do too much. A Mahomes autographed trading card sold for $4.3 million, the most ever for a football card. The 2017 rookie Mahomes card was sold through the PWCC marketplace, broke the previous record for a rookie Tom Brady card, sold for $3.1 million. The buyer of the Mahomes card chose to remain private. What surprises me a bit about this is 2017 wasn't that long ago, and people even then suspected Mahomes might be great. So you'd think that there would be a whole bunch of these cards and the value wouldn't be anywhere near that.
Yeah.
But I guess it must be some rarity for it to be worth that much. The weather.
Yeah, we are going to stay hot and very humid tomorrow. Highs back near 96. It could feel as high as 110 during the afternoon tomorrow.
Final sports note.
Carl Junction's Jeremiah Jones signed today to join the archery program at Lindenwood. You can check out that story on our website.
Don't forget our morning show, and let's make it a great tomorrow.